I'm Luke SEERVELD. Welcome to another episode of Meet the Gaffer. Let me tell you a little something about this job. Fun job. Got a call. Hey, would you like to come up to Portland, Oregon, help us out with this shoot? And I was like, yeah, what you got? And the gist of it is we want to light, in an interesting way, a bunch of large vehicles, trucks, semis. And it's like, that sounds cool. And we want to do some projections, and we want to do some smoke, and we don't, it's like, all right, let's go. Okay, we got to get some good guys. Well, our equipment was coming from Gearhead Grip, so I asked them for some good people. They gave me some names. We ended up with Joey as our key, and Joel, who's like one of the owners of Gearhead Grip, as the best boy. Well, couldn't be in better hands, so they got some other folks. And Joel ended up being like the board op for the job, which was great because he really knew how to tie in all the Asteras, the 360, the S60s, and have them all on chases or on different colors, typical board op stuff, but not something I could do easily myself. So very thankful. So first off, Joey and his guys had to build the softbox. It's just a 360 sky panel that's hung from its four corners straight down on two pieces of steel pipe, and that's resting on a box truss, 20 by box truss, and then those have 4 points to chain motors, and then there's a fifth chain motor that brings up the cable so it can be out of shot. And then Joey built another 20 by box underneath it that was 6 foot deep, so we could have the diffusion on the bottom be 6 foot away from the source. And that filled our 20 by well enough. And the 20 by was just quarter grid, so it just take the edge off. Already soft source, but we wanted to spread it a little bit. It would have been nice to have a thicker diffusion, but then it would also have been nice to have another 360. This was the budget we were working with, worked fine. So we're still getting enough transmission through it to have nice rich color when we went to color mode, and plenty of output, but still soft enough for what we were working with. That was brought up, and then we added some M18s, but we found out those were a little too strong. So luckily, Joel was on our crew, and direct connection to the equipment, and we could swap out two of the M18s for two S60s. So after the pre-light, we figured out what we needed, and then for the actual shoot day, we had the right instruments. So we're just lighting this with our top light, the S60s when we need them, an M18 from the back when we want to see that, and that works well with a little bit of DF50 fogger. And then we have the Astera tubes. And so tying all those things in, you really need a board op. So thankfully, Joel's here, and he's got that all singing pretty well. And it's just wonderful to use Asteras because they've got those batteries. And if they're well charged, and often you don't need them at full intensity because you want to see the color. Sometimes when they're full on, they're too bright, and all you see is white. So if you want to see some color, sometimes you got to bring them down a little bit. Overall, we had a nice bounce for a lot of it, just to even out some of the tones in the front of these vehicles. And then sometimes we bring in an S60 either with a softbox or as the bounce, or the M18 on the ground from behind. It's been wonderful working with these folks from Portland, really knowledgeable, great ideas, people who work on features, episodics, commercials, corporate, are willing to pick up a stinger if they're a grip, willing to do a little gripping if they're electric. It's wonderful to have people that are well experienced in both departments. Also wanted to mention the adapters for the power here in an airplane hangar, which is you can get the 480 version, you can get a 208 version, but it's a big old pin and sleeve connector. And Joel had been working with this before. He got an adapter for an adapter, and then had an output that went to cam lock. So we didn't have to bring a generator in. We needed the 3-phase for the chain motors. That worked out well. We could just pull from the spigot, and there we had 100 amps of 3-phase. So that's all you really need when you've got a bunch of LEDs working. It works out great. So I hope you like some of the BTS. It's pretty colorful stuff. It was just a wonderful experience. You know, it was a fun concept, great people, good tools, and some time to play. You know, we could be creative. And that's the wonderful thing about Asteras too. Because they can be run off battery, you can just move them around. You can try out different configurations easily. Just had a great time. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time. Just a few more notes about this job. This is the clamp used to secure the chain motors to the ceiling of the airplane hangar. Here we're opening up the door, and getting that semi in there was a trick. It had a really long box. I like the reflection on this shot. And mostly lit the front of it because it was so long. The other trucks were smaller. It was fun playing with the fog. And this garbage truck was a hoot. We did it in color and white and close-ups and with the driver. The whole idea was to make trucks look sexier and more technology friendly. In the foreground is David Lawless. He was the producer, director, and not only creative, but resourceful mastermind behind it all. And this is Evan Oliver, the director of photography, and he's also the creator of Film Set Objects, which is an easy-to-use graphical way of laying out your lighting and grip and talent and set pieces so that you can explain what you want to do with a particular scene to others. I recommend checking it out.